And while we fight to move our nation forward to a brighter future, Donald Trump and his extremist allies will keep trying to pull us backward. We all remember what they did to tear families apart. And now they have pledged to carry out the largest deportation, a mass deportation, in American history. Imagine what that would look like and what that would be. How's that going to happen? Massive raids? Massive detention camps? What are they talking about?
So just moments ago, Donald Trump made a major reversal in his mass deportation policy. Indiscriminately, he's been sending armed agents into farms and fields and ranches all throughout California and increasingly across the country. I was in Oxnard, California yesterday. I met with a 12-year-old boy, tears pouring down his face. His mom and dad snatched by agents. They were working the fields for over 20 years. He doesn't know where they are. He has no family in the United States. He's here alone, a sixth grader. Donald Trump may not care about him, but he's finally listening to you, calling out these indiscriminate acts of cruelty. Let's keep up the pressure and let's do it peacefully.
Taco Trump, baby. Taco Trump. Back at it again. Smells like fear. Sounds like the protests are getting to little Donnie here, who's underwater on his immigration policy and his deportation policy. America's not with it at all. Count your days, Tom Homan. You are failing. You went from get all the criminals out to going to elementary schools. And it looks like the masters are getting into Trump's ear because he's hurting their bottom line. Don't get it twisted. This isn't about being nice to undocumented workers. This is about the bottom line. This is still putting profits over people. Profits over people forever and always with him.
So this is breaking right now. Trump says he is going to allow the hardworking illegal immigrants to stay. He said he's going to try to find a way to make this happen because that's not really who he's after. He's really only after the criminals. He says specifically farmers, people who are in the leisure industry, hotel industry, and a lot more that he put out there. He says a lot of them have been working here for decades and that he is drawing up an executive order right now to protect these specific immigrants. Personally, I think illegal is illegal and it's not fair to the people who spent their hard-earned time and money to become a legal American citizen, but I do think this is a good middle ground for the left and the right to come together on this issue. But if this happens and the left is still protesting, then that means it was never about deportations or these immigrants. It was really about their hatred for Trump. So we'll see.
This is funny. I just knew it would happen, but I didn't expect it to happen very soon. And this just proves how Donald Trump is really hard-headed. Anyways, guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny, and today we are actually talking about a very interesting outcome where Donald Trump has finally caved into those immigration policies that he had set. And now, instead of deporting people like anyhow like he was doing before, he's saying he's now going after the hardcore criminals and no longer just any illegal or undocumented immigrants. And this stems from just, the American economy suffering greatly from economic downtime because the very people who are holding the economy of Americans, surprisingly, are the illegal or undocumented migrants who work in these hard sectors like construction, food industry, oil, and just so much more. It seems like he is even seeing how the very same United States citizens are decrying like his actions and how it's affecting the businesses that really depended on these very people who had the very skills that the people who have remained do not have or are not willing to partake in. It's just something that anyone with a simple level of IQ would have just guessed it. And you guys have realized something, that anything that Donald Trump has tried in his administration, virtually everything have not worked out from, tariffs and now to these immigration policies. It's something like it seems like he did not think through, and now he has to backtrack. He has to go back to the drawing board and just see what should he do next, what should he do, what should he not do. And it seems like it's a win for the Latinos right now who are panicking, who thought that they're going to be deported for no reasons. This move is gonna, ease in the uncertainties or the level of certainties that so many people had, and it's also a win for America as a whole, because there is no way these guys are going to sustain themselves without the help of those skilled migrants. It's now time to sit back and see if it's just talks or is token action. If the administration is really gonna, withdraw the National Guard from LA, from these other towns that they have done their raids, if these raids are gonna turn out to be less brutal as they have been, it's time to sit back and just watch and see if he's gonna act upon his words that he just said before. It's gonna be an interesting time. It's funny how Kamala Harris had predicted, or had not predicted actually, had just said these things before, and people do not listen to what she was saying. How people are saying that Kamala wasn't always serious with her speeches and she was just mumbling gibberish and just laughing. And now whatever she said is coming true. It's just interesting to see how it's gonna transpire, but let's listen to what netizens have.
The anti-ICE protests are working as Donald Trump just caved on immigration. Now, as you know, these protests started because the Trump administration stopped focusing on deporting criminals and instead turn to job sites where people are just trying to earn a living and take care of their families. Well, Donald Trump has done a complete 180 and today said this.
We're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not.
Yeah, Donald Trump is now suggesting that, well, we can't go after the people that are just trying to earn a living, whether it's the people working on farms, in leisure, hotels, or they're working on job sites. Donald Trump is now doing a 180 because the political winds have changed. He feels it. He feels that people are now pushing back against his immigration policy, and these protests are the reason. They show that they work because Donald Trump will always go full taco, and we must keep up the pressure. I will see you all at the No Kings protest.
All right. It just happened a couple hours ago. Go to Truth Social, Trump's Truth Social account. He just posted something a couple hours ago. I tried to post a picture of it here. It won't let me do that anymore. It cuts my sound off and whatever. But go look at it yourself. He's, it sounds like, rethinking his mass deportation policy. The post basically says that, we need the immigrants for the work. The industry has told him, all the farm industry, hospitality industry, restaurant, everything. So basically he's backed off now, according to his post, if you can believe that. Go look at it. He said that things are going to change and that 40 million of them are probably not going to be mass deported. They're going to stay here. How does that make you feel, Trump supporters? I know you wanted these people out of the country so bad. Aren't you really disappointed about this? Your daddy is backing down. He realized he was wrong. He's never going to admit that. But it looks like they may be staying here. And he claims in his post that they are only going to get the people with a criminal record, which, that may be a few thousand of them or something. So it's not going to be anything like you were thinking if he goes along with what he said today. It looks like they will be staying here. So my question to you, Trump supporters, how do you feel about that? Are you disappointed? Are you just going to support Trump no matter what he does? Now that's what I think, because you're in a cult. I think if he came out and said, let's let all the immigrants here, they're wonderful, you would be all for it. Whatever he does, you're for. But this just happened. Go look at his Truth Social, and looks like they're staying.
So late last night on Eastern Standard Time, Gavin Newsom had sued the Trump administration for overreach using Title 10. And a judge sided, obviously, in Gavin Newsom's and the state of California's favor, stating that, again, Donald Trump used overreach in Title 10, and he had to return the National Guard back to Gavin Newsom, who never wanted it to begin with. The LAPD and the California State Police were literally publicly saying that they were overwhelmed and having difficulty keeping things quelled and protecting federal law enforcement. But Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom were like, no, we're fine. Donald Trump steps in and says, you're not fine, and we need to have some boots on the ground and presence. So he sues him. But thankfully, the Ninth Circuit, in an emergency injunction, jumped in and put a stay on it. They're going to hear it in a few days, which is really important because we have the 250th anniversary of the Army Parade that Donald Trump has been putting together. And we also, coinciding with that, we have the No King's Day or No Dictator that's going to be spread out all over the country, I think with the exception of DC because of the celebration for the Army.
We have major breaking news right now. A federal judge has just ordered Donald Trump to return control over the National Guard to California, saying that the call-up of the National Guard was illegal. This is happening while Israel is striking Iran, but Judge Breyer just issued the decision minutes ago saying that the federal government improperly called up the National Guard to Los Angeles for protests. He said, quote, at the early stage of the proceedings, this court must determine whether the president followed the congressionally mandated procedures of his actions. He did not. His actions are illegal, both exceeding the scope of his authority and violating the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution. He must therefore return control of the California National Guard to the governor of the state of California forthwith. This is a significant ruling. It'll almost certainly be appealed, but for now, the National Guard cannot be federalized, cannot be in federal government control, must be returned to the state of California immediately. He stayed this order until noon tomorrow, so Trump can appeal.
It appears as though Donald Trump has just worked out that his deportation policies hurt American farmers. Who knew? I mean, as we say in London, what a plonker. What a complete plonker. This was as obvious as you like. But Donald Trump has just done a news conference now where he's been saying that, unfortunately, there have been some workers on American farms and they might not be citizens and have all the paperwork, but they've been working there for 20 or 25 years and done a really good job. And now farmers are having to get in, criminals and things like that instead. And it's so obvious what's happened here. Big farming businesses in the States would have been trying to get his attention for a long time. They will have finally got his attention, maybe through, threats of what's likely to happen, but they've got it through to Donald Trump's thick skulls that if all of the immigrant workforce get chased out of the States, then this is what is going to happen. Lots of American farms will go bust. Other American farms won't be able to harvest and sow all of their produce. That means there's going to be a shortage of food in the US. That's going to drive up prices. And with Donald Trump's 10% tariffs on absolutely everyone from the rest of the world trying to sell in food produce into the US, that means that basic food prices are going to rocket right up. And that is going to drive inflation up, and that is going to weaken Americans' economies. And the rural states are going to be really pissed off with Donald Trump about this, and his approval ratings are already sliding. So this has clearly finally gotten through to his dense skull, because now he is realizing that it is not right to be chasing off a lot of the hard-working workforce on American farms. So changes are coming and he's going to think of something different and watch this space and all of this BS. Whether he'll be able to turn on a dime fast enough in order to save American agriculture for its output this summer and autumn, who's to know? But it's so obvious that this would happen. We had the same thing in the UK, incidentally, with Brexit, which the UK voted for by 52% to 48% in 2016. And part of all of the politicking and angling around that was keeping fellow Europeans out of the UK. And that included a lot of workforce, particularly Eastern European workforce, that would come over and work seasonally on our farms. And Brexit just made all of that more difficult. So what did we have in the UK? We had lots of fruit and vegetables rotting in fields and in greenhouses. And at the same time, we also had barriers with food coming in from Europe because of the whole Brexit deal. And that really pushed food prices up and deteriorated the quality of food that we had in our shelves. So this is not a new thing, right? This is clearly a case of Donald Trump diving for policies before he understands fully what the implications of the policies are. But it is obvious AF. And here we are now, and he's starting to realize what his smash and grab of the immigrant workforce means to American productivity in the rural states and the cost of food right across the states. Well done, Donald.
You know what this reminds me of? You remember that Bible story of King Herod and how stubborn he was and how he waited to see so many signs, frogs or firstborn being killed and those all signs that are in the Bible so that he may release the Israelites of Egypt. Donald Trump has to see Americans suffering in order to change his policies. You know, the fact that this thing happened on Thursday and I'm still getting my head around it, like, what really made him to tone down? What really made him to want to revise the policies? Who got into him finally? He's been stubborn for a very long time. And if you guys have noticed, it's like the Donald Trump administration is implementing policies in a way that it acts like it's a trial and error. It's like he doesn't know what the policies mean or how the policies would affect the people first before implementing, and they have to implement first and to test the people's patience, and then thereafter to revise the policies in order now to favor existence or coexistence of the United States citizens. It does really sound like that. And in his post on Thursday on Truth Social, Donald Trump says that the immigration policies that he has implemented is really hurting the farmers and also the hotel industries. Having been someone in the hotel industry, Donald Trump empathizes with his fellow businessmen and women, and now he wants to revise the immigration policies. Guys, here's where now you have to read in between the lines. Is he just doing that because it really affects him directly? Or is he doing it in a way that he has now listened to the people? We have to read in between the lines. This is Donald J. Trump. He goes on to articulate how some of the migrants have been in the United States for over 20 years and they are just here for good intentions in order to just work. And they have been working. They have good records. He acknowledges that. Why in the previous months they have been deporting the same very people, and also they have not even been checking their papers. Some people have been presenting their papers and they are saying they're in the process of, making their papers right in order to have the permanent residence, and they have just been deported regardless in even countries they did not belong to. You've seen so many people have been deported to El Salvador, to Secot prison. Some of them even are not criminals. ICE has not even been doing that due process. They have not been listening to the court orders. They have been acting like they themselves are the court. They themselves can judge if someone is due for deportation. Most of them, at least. This is backed by what Donald Trump is saying, and Donald Trump of course would not even take accountability for most of it. He's saying most of the migrants came into the United States because of the previous administration, which is mostly true, but also you acknowledging that these people have been in the United States for over 20 years. 20 years? Do you even listen to yourself? You are blaming the Biden administration and you're also acknowledging that these people have been in for 20 years. Are you saying that Joe Biden has been in the administration for 20 years? Are you trying to discuss that you also have been in the United States government for the previous administration, like the period after Obama? Or you know the president, that period? If you guys read in between the lines, the fact that he's turning down but also trying to play, chess here, trying to play with people's minds. 20 years? Yeah, it sounds like someone who doesn't want to own up 100%. But hey, I guess it's a win for those migrants who had the papers and were panicking, having uncertainties over their lives. I hope this gets implemented, and I hope this gets now the ground between now the lefts and the rights. And I hope this is a turn up point for the ICE to do legal arrest and to do legal background checks instead of just, you know, capturing people and just deporting them, breaking up families and just leaving kids with no one to take care of them. That would really be a starting point for something beautiful. Anyways, guys, you let me know what do you think about these all issues. Do you think Trump has turned out for a good cause, or do you think there is something that we do not yet know? Don't forget to check the original creators. Their usernames have been embedded in the Stitch videos. As always, go follow, like on their TikToks. For this channel, make sure you hit the thumbs up button for this video. Also consider subscribing, turn on post notification. Guys, let me meet you in the next upload. Peace.